The first couple of times you've run an app from Android Studio, you might have noticed a console popped up with a series of messages about kinds of things, like a slow app needing to skip frames to keep up, an error occurred, or perhaps some request or process finished. And these are all log messages. Developers use log messages to communicate information about their applications. These messages can be fairly trivial, like noting that an application has refreshed some data, or indicate deeper problems like an error that crashes the application. When you're logging a message in your app, you need to determine what log level it should be displayed at. The levels are error, warn, info, debug, and verbose in terms of increasing verboseness and severity. Error, warn, and info level messages are always preserved in release versions. So if you think you'll need to capture that later to diagnose a problem after your app is released to the public, use them. As I explain the different log levels, I'll be showing the signatures for them. They take the general form of log.someLetter. They take a string tag and a message as parameters. Tag can be any string you want, but a common strategy is to use the class name as the tag. This makes it easier to search your logs, as all apps dump their log messages into the same bucket. Use error to log obvious errors. Warn is best suited for things that don't make your application error or crash but remain a concern. For example, a media app might log that there is low disk space. This would help you diagnose why a user's app won't download videos anymore. Info is commonly used for purely informational messages like being connected to the internet. During development, you can also use debug and verbose log messages. I've often used debug messages for things like outputting the URL that a function has composed, or response from a web service. Verbose messages are meant for times when you want to give very granular information. In most cases, it isn't what you want to use. If you've used a logging library in another programming language, you might already be familiar with these logging levels. Android has another very special logging level that is more severe than error. It is called WTF, for what a terrible failure. What did you think I was going to say? The WTF level is for errors that should never, ever, ever happen, and most developers should never, ever, ever use it. On a debug build of a device, a WTF error may force the device to halt and output a debug report. Because the behavior of WTF isn't clearly defined, it might be best to only use the knowledge of this special log level to impress your friends.